Dubs Talk Live brought to you by Mancini Sleep World with Warriors insider Monte, Poole. I'm Kerith, Burke. Just digesting some of the things Steve Kerr said after this game. He was furious, by the way, as he left the court. Had to be restrained from one of the referees after the game as he confronted that ref. Whew. All right, so after Steve had a cool-off period, his quotes were still a little bit hot. He said this game was disgusting. It was a parade to the free throw line. Draymond was ejected. I don't know that we need to talk about that stuff. Is there anything you want to say about that before we get to the team's record?
This was the ugliest basketball game I've seen this year. It was choppy throughout. The fouls were inconsistent. There were bodies on the floor. There were 3 and 4 and 5-man scrums. We watched basketball devolve into something like rugby at times. And we know the Grizzlies and the Warriors have this history.
Yes.
You know, going back to 22 Western Conference semifinals when Dillon Brooks clobbered Gary Payton II and fractured Gary's elbow, and Steve Kerr said he broke the code, and that started a back and forth with that team. And Dillon Brooks is gone. Been gone for 16, 17 months now, but you know what? There's still something there. And when you play the Grizzlies, you know what to expect. And they ugly up the game. They did tonight. And the Warriors held up pretty well. I mean, other than Lindy Waters, the third, he ended up bowing out. But I mean, that must have been 15 or 20 times when bodies hit the floor tonight. Yeah. You just don't see that on a regular basis. But tonight, that's what it was like. It was ugly.
And Lindy Waters left the game with a left knee hyperextension. That's from the team. That's the latest update we have there. Okay, so after all the ugliness, the Warriors still got a win, which means they've arrived at a 10-2 record. So we got to check out these standings right now. They did beat Oklahoma City, but Oklahoma City, the #1 team in the league, the Warriors are going to face them not too long from now. But look at that. Look at how this is shaking out. I'm not sure this is how people thought the start of the season would go. But here are the Warriors playing with that chip on their shoulder.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Warriors are by most reasonable expectations exceeding that. But I think what has happened, too, is that so many teams have been hit by injuries to where the standings don't look like anybody expected them to. Yeah. I mean, the Grizzlies, for one team, people thought, okay, they're going to bounce back. Everybody's going to be healthy. And, they got hit again. And they had 3 guys back tonight that hadn't been around. So, and John Moran is going to be out indefinitely. So you look down at Western Conference, Denver's without Aaron Gordon. Phoenix is without Kevin Durant. And that's kind of important, and they got clobbered tonight. So you got so many teams fighting that and trying to hang in there. So it's hard to look at these standings and say this is how it's going to end up. Okay. But at the same time, if you're the Warriors, up until 2 days ago when we saw, obviously they lost DeAnthony Melton with a knee issue. They're relatively healthy. And now they lose Melton for, a period of time. We don't know how long, but it appears to be at least several weeks.
Yeah, right as he went into the starting lineup.
Yes.
Steve said, this is our group.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And so tonight, Lindy Waters gets to start, and he's done before the first quarter, before the first half. So it's like it's part competition and it's part attrition. Okay. That's what we're looking at right now. And if you're the Warriors, you just want to stay as healthy as you can for as long as you can and try and make some hay.
Yeah, well, and some of the new guys have contributed an infusion of energy, and they're all on board with this defensive effort for the Dubs. Let's hear from one of those new guys, Kyle Anderson.
What do you make of the pace of play, the stoppages in the last couple quarters? Steve, for reference, called it disgusting.
I mean, it was just how the game was going. Maybe we were fouling a little bit too much, and we got to get that cleaned up in games where, we got to use time on the clock, and, we have leads like that. So just got some things we got to clean up on our end.
They obviously played with a lot of urgency at the end, taking timeouts. The margin of victory matters in the NBA Cup games. How much did you feel that?
I feel like on their part, it was a mix of like Taylor wanting to, get an ATO or 2 in, or like help his young guys for, future reference of close games. I don't know. I don't know if they were playing the point situation too, but obviously we were too. That's with the NBA putting this in play, that's that's how it's got to go. Anything else? I could go home. No, I'm just kidding.
How would you evaluate just the team's play tonight?
It was a weird game out there. I mean, I think to an extent we kind of played down to our competition. No disrespect to the Grizzlies, and they're a really good team, but I think obviously we could have played a little bit better. Sloppy at times. I think we were all kind of fatigued out there, but we just clean it up and be better Monday.
Kyle, Draymond was explaining how.
All right, so that was a pretty honest answer, saying
Yeah.
we were pretty fatigued. And he's talking
Yeah.
about the previous game, a very emotional game. It was the Clay game when the Mavericks came back here. In that Mavericks game, Steph Curry had 27 field goal attempts. Remember, he had to take over in that fourth quarter to ensure the Warriors would win. Tonight, he only shot 9 shots. He had 1 in the first quarter. Some of that would be the Grizzlies' defense. Got to give him credit there. But just what do you think about just the different flavors of this game, especially for Steph?
Well, it says a lot. We've seen over the years, Steph has games like this where he'll have his points won't be, won't shout out at you, but he'll do something else. Like tonight, he comes in and finds a way to get, 8 rebounds, which, is it ties for the team high. So 5 assists, 4 steals. So
Yeah.
he does stuff, but the Grizzlies made a point of doing the old top blocking defense where they were basically going to funnel him to their bigs, and they got a bunch of big guys, Edie and Jaren Jackson Jr. and Jay Huff and Aldama. These guys are all 6'11" and up.
Yeah.
And so their defense is designed to try and funnel guys to the middle there, and that means Steph's not going to have a hard time getting a clean look.
Yeah.
He can get a clean look maybe from 12, 18 feet, but then he's got to shoot over these guys. So Steph played it smart, and he just, he was more of a ball handler and a sort of a distributor than he was a shooter tonight. And it got him, he went 13 points, but nobody was going to score big against this team the way they played tonight.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Top blocking him and then guarding him 94 feet. One of the guys guarding him, I noticed, Vince Williams Jr. Why am I mentioning him? Because he was a game time decision with a left shin. It was like a stress reaction in his left shin. So here's a guy who missed the first 12 games of the season. Game 13, a game time decision. Plays in his first game. He's got Steph Curry as his assignment. Holy smokes. Okay, so just shout out there to Vince Williams Jr. But we also need to mention Steph Curry can play a little defense as well.
Yeah.
Can I show you this clip? Did you notice
Absolutely.
this? Because he gave Williams a little taste of his own medicine right there. Williams, number 5 there. Steph is messing with him.
2.
Da,
Not
da,
bad.
da. Let's give him a little bump. Let's see what happens. Okay. And then Steph says, all right, I'm wide open for this 3.
Yeah.
I'll sink it. Okay. All right, Steph. What do you think about his defense this season?
Well, I mean, it's funny. I was watching one of the ESPN shows the other day, and they were talking about how Steph's defense has evolved. How people used to try and pick on him. And now in the 22 finals, the Celtics tried to pick on him, and it didn't work out so well for him. So people want to say that, they don't target Steph like they used to. And one of the reasons why is because he is stronger. Yeah. He can handle the pushing and shoving a lot better than he could when he was 185 pounds. And the other thing is that the Warriors do enough switching to where they usually find ways to make sure that he doesn't get beat up too badly. He gets beat up enough on the offensive end. But when you look at what happened tonight, I think Steph just played it smart. Played 26 minutes. And I'm watching the fourth quarter, and he didn't play. And I'm thinking, if I'm Steve Kerr, I don't even put him out there. I mean, no matter what happens, because this is one of those games where somebody could get hurt. And we already lost one. You already lost one guy. And it's like Draymond hit the floor a few times. Jaren Jackson hit the floor 4 or 5 times. I mean, it was like boom, boom, boom. And I'm thinking, I wouldn't even take the risk with number 30.
Okay. All right. So Steph didn't even have to play the fourth quarter, as you mentioned. Draymond in there a little bit longer. Draymond in there long enough to get ejected in this one, which meant he had a clear path right to the podium. Let's take a listen.
What was so unconventional about their offense? On defense, like you said, they looked like they were top blocking stuff. But what was so weird about their offense?
Like if one guy drives right, the whole thing moves right. Like if you're in the slot and you drive right and there's a corner man, he cutting and like kind of giving you all the space. If you drive middle, the whole team is rotating. And it's one thing to move and replace yourself, but no matter what it is, no matter who it is, no matter the personalities, everybody's rotating. And it's just something a little different. It makes the typical help patterns a little different. And I thought we did a great job of communicating and taking care of it.
Sort of expanding on that, how much did tonight sort of show the evolution of your defense? I mean, that's been obviously a big factor in your start.
It showed a lot because we've been very aggressive in a lot of things, and tonight we weren't very aggressive at all as far as our point of attack. We kind of adjusted with them. And so just knowing that you can play these different styles of defense, it goes a long way. I always go back to the comment Steph and Steve made at the end of last year, just talking about the variety of things that we could do, or lack thereof, last year. And just knowing, like, no matter what it is, we're able to adjust to that style of play. That's a big thing when you're trying to do special things in this league.
Draymond, how would you describe your first time going against Zach Edey?
He's big. He's pretty big dude. Yeah, he's a big dude.
You guys on the glass, you guys had a lot of people that had multiple rebounds, 5, 6, 7. What did that say about the overall effort on the glass?
We did it. We made it a point of emphasis in saying that I think we can still do a better job. They had 18 offensive rebounds. So, you know, we can cut those down significantly. But, you know, we out-rebounded them, so we'll take the win there. But, you know, we need to cut those offensive rebounds in half, and we will. We're still figuring that part out, but, you know, it's game, 12. So got a lot of growth left for this group, but I think we're growing at a good rate.
That's an interesting point from Draymond. A lot of growth left, but he can kind of already see some things materialize over, 12 games. Do you usually like to look at 20 games and have a sense of a team? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what the Warriors do. That's what Steve Kerr and his staff do. They look at the season in quarters, and it's 20, 20, 20, and then 22 at the end. And so when you're 10-2, they got to be delighted with that. I don't think anybody expected that except for maybe them. You know,
right.
When you talk to most people before the season started, it was like, play-in team, maybe they'll sneak into the, 7 or 8 or something like that. Maybe they'll get a home play-in tournament game. Last year they had to go to Sacramento to play. But you watch them, and as you've watched them from training camp up to now, you see a team that does 3 things you really have that give you a chance to win a lot of games. 1, they play together. There's a lot of chemistry. You see that. 2, they defend really well. And a lot of those games last year that they lost late, games that they shouldn't have lost.
All those clutch games,
yes.
41 of them?
Yeah, they had so many clutch losses, and you're like, my God. And you're not seeing that this year, And so I think that's a big – and the third thing is, of course, number 30. And as long as Stephen Curry is healthy and on the court, you have a chance to win most any game you play. And so you got those 3 things going for you, and you're seeing those 3 things. We talked the other day about, whether Steph can still be Steph. And the other night against Dallas, I think
Yes.
I'm still that guy,
yes,
that dude,
yes.
So 12 games in, like Draymond said, that's the thing about this too, is that you can say they should be getting better as they become more familiar with each other, play more games, and face more competition.
Yeah, well, and for Steph this year, you can also notice he doesn't have to hoist the team on his back, have 38 points every night. There's just more distribution. I mean, Wiggins, Draymond, and Steph led the team, led the starters with 13 points apiece. I mean, there's just more distribution here.
Yeah.
So, yes.
And the thing is, the way the season started, for the first 5 or 6 games, leading scorer was Buddy Hield off the bench. And, and Buddy's still scoring pretty well.
He was the leading scorer today?
Yeah. So, I mean, and Buddy has been really, in many ways, he has given them what, if Klay Thompson had come back, what they would have wanted from Klay.
Okay.
They wanted Klay to be a 6-man in the Buddy style, and Buddy's doing a really good job of it.
All right, so the Warriors are 2-0 now in this NBA Cup, the Emirates Cup. We got to talk about, is this real? Okay, Draymond got this question. We could summarize some of that for you. Is this real? What's the competition level for this? I mean, if you're diving into the stands to hook up your teammate with a dunk, maybe it's real. Let's talk about it when we come back on Dubs Talk Live.
Dubs Talk Live is presented by Mancini Sleep World. Visit Mancini Sleep World for our Black Friday sale. Save big on premium mattresses plus free delivery. Hurry in now or visit us online at sleepworld.com.
Hey, we're back on YouTube. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Kiana says, Monty's that dude. DVD.
Appreciate you.
Well, he wants to know if he or she wants to know, will we have questions again? Because if so, will you guys talk about the potential new All-Star Game / weekend format? Can you fill me in there? I missed that before the game.
Yeah. I haven't really looked at it because I'm looking at this season for me in sort of week by week increments.
Same. Okay. Why
So-
don't we? Well, let's put a pin in that one. Can
Yeah.
we come back to that because
Yeah.
it is important to the Warriors because they're hosting, obviously. So
right.
yes, let's dig into that on another show. But
It's still
Thank you for questions.
2 months away,
Yes.
3 months away.
yes. Okay. KS says I want to see Moses try in the starting lineup again. Okay. It was kind of interesting that Steve Kerr went with Lindy Waters.
Yeah, and that was kind of like what he did a few times in the past with Moses, where Moses wasn't in the rotation, but okay, there's a slot, and he put Moses in there because it wouldn't affect the rest of the rotation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in Lindy's case, that's what he was thinking. When he put Lindy out there, because Lindy's fringe rotation guy, put him out there that way. Buddy and J.K. and Moses and BP can all kind of still stay together. And I think that's what he was thinking. Now, again, we didn't ask him about that because there were so many other things going on.
Yeah.
But I think that would be the rational line of thinking. I think.
Okay.
There.
Can you repeat that? We're starting with the question that we talked about while Melt is out. The starting lineup. Is that correct? Are we talking about the starting lineup? No. 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 Welcome back to Dubs Talk, brought to you by Mancini Sleep World. So in YouTube, we got a question about the starting lineup. Lindy Waters was in there tonight, and somebody was asking, could Moses Moody go back into the starting lineup? First, let's do some injury updates, because if you missed it off the top of the show, Lindy Waters exited this game. He was going up for a block, landed hard, immediately grabbed his knee. And the word from the Warriors is that it's a hyperextended left knee. And then we got a little bit more information yesterday at practice that it's a left ACL sprain for DeAnthony Melton. Steve Kerr not really specified what a chunk of games meant, but did Buddy Hield actually drop a little bit of knowledge accidentally?
Yeah, Buddy Hield said it's a couple of weeks, and that's, I think, on the optimistic side.
Okay.
When you hear a knee sprain, I think 2 to 4 weeks is probably what you're looking at. Again, the Warriors are not telling anybody anything, so when Buddy said that, it just kind of stood out because he said it as if that's what they were told or something. But yeah, you can't expect to see DeAnthony Melton come back in the next week or two, and you hope to get him back sometime by mid-December.
All right, so what do the Warriors do with their starting lineup? Is it going to be matchup based? Do you think they'll put one guy in there to try, while Melt is out, that is? Melt should, I think, players who are injured always go back to their previous role. What do they do with the starting lineup while DeAnthony Melton is out?
I think it will be matchup based. I think tonight, why Lindy Waters the third? Because, I think that was partly because he didn't want to disrupt the bench, which is playing so well. Now, when they go to play the Clippers next week on Monday, it might be a different look. And as they come back and start playing, it depends on who they play. And that's what happened when Steph was out. BP started, and then a couple other guys would come in and start. When Melton was out with his back, you saw BP, you saw Moses, Lindy got to start, GP2 got to start, so I think that'll be how he plays it because I don't think he'll want to settle on one person and then have that change, in a few weeks.
Gotcha.
So I think he'll look at the other team and say, okay, who's the best situation, the best guy for this, and who is least disruptive to what else we want to do when it comes to the bench.
Because Kerr really seems to want to keep that second unit. Because they're playing well together. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, and that's why I don't think, BP probably won't get a chance because he runs the second unit. And you start him, who's going to run the second unit? So that leaves, guy like GP2 and Moses. And tonight we saw Lindy, which, he's going to be out, it looks for it a little bit. And a hyperextended knee can be a matter of days or weeks. We don't know yet.
Okay. All right, so this NBA Cup, Draymond got a question about, is it real? And what the question asker meant was, are you guys seriously competitive about this thing? And Draymond, with a lot of seriousness, said yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because it's a chance to win something. And if you're a competitive person, he said, that's what you want to do. His conviction right then and there convinced me, because I'm looking at some of these courts. They're a little crazy. Did you see the Pacers court or the Celtics court? It just, I don't know. And
Wear your shades.
yeah, I mean, a cup, it's not even a mid-season cup to shake it up in the dog days. But yes, a chance to win something. Plus, there's a financial prize here, and that's a lot of money. $500,000 is a lot of money.
Yeah, and like Steve Kerr said yesterday, he said, for Draymond and Steph, maybe it's not as much, it means as much to them.
Those guys have made their money.
Yeah, because these guys are making millions upon millions every year anyway.
Yeah.
But for the younger guys who are making in that, $1, $2, $3, $4, $5 million, $500,000 is a big chunk of money.
Yes.
You can go out and buy a nice Lambo if you want to be.
It's a down
you want to be
payment-
lavish.
Down payment on a house, for sure. A very nice house.
Yeah, so there is a financial incentive, but I think, like Draymond is saying, last year they didn't like the way they played.
Okay.
And he said he called it, we bombed it. And I think they want to sort of make amends to themselves, and I also think they don't want to lose any momentum.
Yeah,
I think that's a big part of it.
That's what it is. It's because they bombed last year. So I don't think it's the Lakers hanging a banner or anything like that. But no, it's for themselves. All right, let's talk to one of the guys doing well off the bench and leading the team with 18 points scoring tonight. It's Buddy Hield.
And Draymond, mostly Steve mentioned, all the fouls in the second half and kind of made it difficult. I mean, was that a hard game to play in the second half?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like, being on the other side, when they call a ticky-tack foul one way, and after that, a guy like me in the corner when I get fouled, and then after that, of course, we get a turnover, and then they get a fast break and they score and one, and we don't get nothing out of that, but I guess they can be a little more consistent, but they'll probably say they didn't see the foul, but you know how they go. So we just gotta try to figure ways to move past that and just move on to the next. It could have cost us the game, but we weathered the storm and we figured it out. But yeah, I think they kind of messed up a lot. But it's the game. You can't go back and turn around.
How do you feel? I mean, overall, you guys played. I mean, obviously, it's another.
I think we played great until they start doing that. I think they tried to junk up the game, and I know hats off to Memphis, they was aggressive, but I just think that when they call ticky-tack fouls on one side, they got to call it back on the way. You can't just reward them because we're up by 15 or up by 17. I think if we deserve a call, we should get it. That's all I'm saying.
How'd you?
All right, and just checking some of the numbers, the Warriors reserves outscored the Grizzlies 67-61. 67 points from the bench.
Well, when you get into a game like this one that is sloppy and choppy, the numbers, become sort of grotesque. And Steph has 13, Buddy has 18. Nobody had more than 18 points for the Warriors. And so it was like kind of get points where you can by who can get them. And the bench, with the way the game was going and the way the Grizzlies were attacking on defense and the style of play they use, the bench kind of handled that pretty well, I thought. Yeah. And so Buddy, he had a few stumbles there. He had a bunch of turnovers because they were hacking at him, and he's made a point of saying, yeah, there were some ticky-tack fouls called on one side, but maybe not on the other side. And the Grizzlies shot more free throws than the Warriors did, and so all these things. And Steve Kerr, like you mentioned before at the start of the show, was irate at the end of the game and did not want to elaborate on what made him so mad after the game.
Okay.
So
smart.
Yeah.
I think
save
he
his
knows
money.
the value of money as well. All right, when we come back, let's talk about the schedule. The Warriors 10-2 right now. Where could they get more wins? That's next with Dubs Talk Live, brought to you by Mancini Sleep World. Rolls on. Yeah, Andas is saying, careful, buddy. Don't get that fine for criticizing the refs. Ooh.
Draymond was careful, too.
He was.
He already has to pay for the He already has to pay for the technical fouls. So.
What else do we have in here? Down payment on a house. Dank's like, more like paid in full. Yes,
Some houses.
in normal places. We live in the Bay Area.
Yeah, in the Bay Area, it may be tough. You
Yes.
might get a decent condo somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. We got somebody saying, anyone know how long the second half took in real time? Oh my gosh.
Well, I will say this. There were 49 free throws in the second half.
That's
49 free throws in a half of basketball.
Who wants to
That's
watch that?
I mean, I think you can see the fans kind of,
Yeah.
It's exhausting
Yeah.
to watch that. And honestly, most of the fouls that I saw, I mean, most of the fouls were kind of legitimate. You know, there was a lot of physical stuff going on, but that's how the Grizzlies play, and the Warriors were forced to play that way too. And they're not as accustomed to it as the Grizzlies are, though. So it kind of showed. But
Yeah.
man, it was like a free throws. 49 free throws in one half of basketball. It's nuts.
Well, even hearing Kyle, he's like, I don't want to what do you say? I don't want to disrespect the Grizzlies.
Yeah.
But you could, I mean,
Yeah.
you could talk about the kind of game.
He was one of them. He played for them, so he's been
there
there.
you go.
Yeah, he played for Taylor.
Listen, yeah, there you go. That's the way that they play. All right, let's talk about the schedule.
Coming up.
Stackhouse is an animal.
Players love him.
They said, do you get spreadsheets after each Dubs Talk show from the producer? Spreadsheets? We're back on Dubs Talk. Coming up next for the Warriors, little road trip to Los Angeles to face the Clippers and their new logo that I'm still a little bit unsure about. And then home. Okay, so quick home, quick on the road, quick home, quick on the road. Yeah, you can see the Pelicans who are depleted, but then there's a back-to-back against the Spurs. Victor Wembanyama, always interesting, that matchup. You know what? Immediately my eye went to that Oklahoma City game. I want to see that rematch this season. Yeah, well, when you look at the schedule, Monte, what do you see as far as challenging games?
Yeah, OKC, obviously. The Clippers are different because they tend to play really good defense, and they do bother the Warriors to some degree. And also, you know, you look at Zubac over there, and he's a load.
Okay.
You know, and so he's tough. They can handle Harden, but some of the other stuff makes it a lot difficult for the Warriors, and we saw they beat the Warriors earlier this season in this building.
Yeah. Before the Warriors went on their 5-game road trip, the one that featured the Celtics, Cavaliers, and OKC, can we do a little flashback moment real quick while we're talking about records?
Ooh. After 12 games? I would say 8-4.
My first thought, honestly, was 10-2. Just
Wow.
Yeah, but that's I'm on the vibes train.
I mean,
hype
I'm
train a
going to be
little bit.
realistic. 10-2 would be fantastic.
That would.
Choo-choo, hype train, choo-choo, choo-choo.
That's called tooting her own horn, which she should do.
I don't know. Predictions are so dumb. They're just guesswork. I
Well,
don't know.
no,
But
but-
they can be educated guess. I really thought, and I should have said this, I can't, I really thought they're going to beat the Celtics.
You spread some knowledge and take credit for it.
I
Come
mean,
on,
it's
10-2.
just a
You
guess.
said it, and you got it.
Sure. Okay. There,
There you go.
Anyway, that would be fantastic,
I said
right? That
I was
would be
conservative,
fantastic.
8-4. you
Well,
know,
no,
so,
that's pretty
yeah,
good.
you know,
All right.
so.
All right. Stay tuned to Dubstock for more hot predictions, okay? And thank you very much for watching, everybody. Have a good night. Hot predictions. So now someone's going to be like, what else do you want to make? What other predictions do you want to make?
We need another theme song for that. Huh?
16-4. How about that? Okay.
Wow, you are bold.
All right. Well, no one's going to see this. This is a YouTube prediction, so that's not true. Our loyal YouTube watchers can see me. Yeah, I don't know. Just going
Well,
vibes
I mean,
here, throwing out numbers.
Let's see. Next game will be game number 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Yeah. I mean,
I think they
16-4
win.
is conceivable. It's conceivable.
Conceivable.
The best team that they will see is OKC, and I think OKC is easier for them to play without Chet Holmgren.
Yes.
You know, so
That was such an unfortunate loss in that game, too.
Yeah, I mean that's a hard injury too. He's going to be out for at least 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
So yeah, if they win this, I hate those, and they do too. Those little pesky 1-game road trips.
yeah.
You know, you play at home, then you go on the road, you come back at home. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, but the Clippers are just a challenging team for them to play. If they can win down there, it's a big one. But I can see them going Okay, the next 8 games, I can see them winning 6 of those games.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see him winning the next 4. What's the one right before the?
You got Clippers, Hawks, Pelicans, Spurs.
That's
tough
a back-to-back. That's
Tough
a back-to-back.
Tough back-to-back.
And then Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.
I
And that's
actually-
here. That's here.
I
So
actually don't know.
that's a game they should win.
And
And then the OKC game here. So Phoenix, I mean, I don't know if that's what 27th, so that's still, that's 12 days away.
I
Kevin
wonder
Durant.
if KD will be back by then.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, Bradley Beal's also hurt now, so and so you don't know how healthy teams are gonna be. But right now, yeah, they don't look too good. They got blown off the floor. The Suns did. So if you're the Warriors, obviously you want to win every game. But I think 16-4 after 20 games is conceivable.
Okay.
It is conceivable.
All right, so 18-2. Okay, good night, guys.
18-2.